Hello, everyone. We welcome you to Glass Academy Webinars 2023. The theme for this year is the art and science of designing responsibly. Today, we have with us Professor Architect Archana Uthaiah. Architect Archana is an academician and a practicing architect with over 25 years of experience. She holds a master's in urban design from University School of Design, Mysore, and has pursued her bachelor's from BMS, Bangalore. Architect Archana is founder principal of Vadia Center for Architecture and is currently running a practice called AAA Designers in Mysore. Architect Archana believes that sustainability is the way of life, and so do we, ma'am. We welcome you today, and we are delighted to have you here with us, and we are looking forward to your presentation. Let's hear from you on the topic, sustainability for well-being. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anvita. Before I begin, I would like to thank the Glass Academy for giving me this platform to present my take on sustainable way of living. Today's presentation, it would be divided into two parts. Being an academician at heart, I tend to get carried away and start preaching. So let's look at what actually sustainability is, try to understand the concept, and then I would like to showcase as how I practice what I preach. Sustainability for well-being. Actually, sustainability as I believe sustainability as a what you call it is a way of life, and as a topic it goes beyond just designing of buildings. It is the need of the hour. It is the way we live, the way we wake up in the morning, the way we go about doing our work. So it is much beyond just building. It is you could say it is making of a good built environment. So what exactly is sustainability? Sustainability consists of fulfilling the need of current generation without compromising the needs of future generation, while ensuring a balance between the economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. So basically it is, as I told you, it is how we live. So how we go about using, in terms of building, how we go about using natural material, how we go about reusing material that we already have in hand. So not about wasting too much of resources. So if you can see some of the experiments I have tried, actually all the pictures what you see here, it is my personal house. So it's like a lab. My house is like a lab. So whatever I try here, and then I try it in my projects for my clients. So if you can see the pictures, these are all recycled bottles, what has been used. And this is a cabin house in our estate in Coog, where I've tried to use bamboo. So these sofas are made out of bamboo, and these are all interlocking blocks, soil stabilized blocks. The roof is made of something called as a decking sheet. We'll come up when we talk about the project. I'll tell you what exactly these materials are. And it is also like it is how we save resources. So this is something, I mean, these are dry flowers. So when we say we have to go green, the first thought is going green means flowers, fresh flowers and things like that. Again, we have to give it a thought as to how much we actually waste in waste resources, waters, and trying to grow fresh flowers on large scale. So what are the alternatives? So basically it is, you have to be creative in your way of building. So that is what sustainability is all about. Okay, and sustainable architecture is, in general term, refers to building design. So how we go about building buildings so that it has a least impact on human environment. Okay, it has a least human impact on the environment. So approach to modern day building encompasses every aspect of planning and construction. So it is how we try to reduce the heating, how we reduce, how you heat this if it's very cold, the area, how do you heat up the building naturally, and what are the ways of you plumbing, and how do you manage the waste disposal, and what are the kind of ventilation systems. Ventilation systems is as less as, I mean, we try to use artificial ventilation systems as less as possible, whether what are the maximum benefits of daylighting, okay, and how do you generally, basically it is how you circulate your air within the building. We all know that cold air, it settles down and hot air rises up. So if you have these are basically this thing, some design elements from my projects, where I give at lower level, I give openings so that cold air comes in, and then hot air rises up and goes out of the building. Okay, and then again, so these are the concept. Then you encompass so many problems along with it. Now, if you give openings like this, your client is not going to agree. They're going to say, oh, and most of my projects are in Coorg, which is a high rainfall area, and it is very humid. Okay, and also it is very close to nature, in the sense you have all kinds of wild animals, rodents and things like. So if I give openings like this, you will always have rodents and birds coming in. So you have to think of how you go about sealing these spaces, yet the air to flow. Okay, so let's look at the advantages of sustainable architecture. Yes, we all know it is cost effective, but it is cost effective only if you use the material that are available at as close to your site as possible. Okay, you say, yes, I'm going to use Betham stone, okay, and get it all the way from Rajasthan, or this is Betham stone is basically from Hyderabad. Okay, or I'm going to use sandstone from Rajasthan to a place somewhere in the south. So that is not cost efficient. Yes, you're using a material which is sustainable, but again, you have to think about the cost, how much you have spent on transporting this material, what is the fuel used, okay, and what is the labor you have incorporated. So cost efficiency is a very broad term. It's not easy to say that how much it costs this thing. It is cost efficient. Same product which is cost efficient in one place might become very expensive if I use it in some other location. Okay, so yes, your sustainable buildings are cost efficient, okay, because we use natural material. And the one more advantage of this using natural building is you can, since it's nearer to your construction site, you can always order as and when you want. Whereas if you go in for example, vitrified tiles or this thing, they'll say minimum you have to order so much. Okay, so wastage is lot. So this, as you're constructing, you can always what you want. So this way you can control on your wastage. Okay, and yes, we all heard about how energy efficient it is. It cools you during the daytime and warms you up during the night. So all these are natural material. They breathe by themselves, like stone, brick, and things like material like that, wood. They all breathe by themselves. So it is very energy efficient. You do not need extra heating or cooling devices. Okay, and yes, you have health benefits. It improves your health. You're closest to nature. It is the day you were born, whatever the environment you came into this world, it is the same kind of environment that these natural materials provide you with. Okay, but at the same time, there are advantages. It's not all gold and roses. Using natural material, you come up with, as architects, you come up with lots of challenges also. One is for a country like India, it kind of lacks standardization. It lacks standardization of the material. They don't, so you have to be very careful as like whether the brick you're getting, the stone you're getting is of a good quality, will it last long, the wood, has it been seasoned well. So since there is no standardization and you don't have valid certifications available, so it does provide you with a bit of challenge. But over years, as you experience the same vendor, you kind of get confidence in that vendor, in the material he supplies, and you're sure of what you're getting into. Yes, another challenge faced by architects is the aesthetics, because clients, they are used to this, they have this, you can say, false notion of how a building should be. They want all glossy, polished, and it has to be very, what you call, shiny. Whereas these natural materials, you don't have much of choice. So your brick is going to look like a brick. You can't, you can paint it. Okay. So you don't have much choice. So that is where we, as an architect, we try to come up with innovative ways of making, of course, glass comes to your rescue every time. You can put a little bit of glass here and there and make it look polished and good. Okay. So this is again one of the challenges faced when we use sustainable materials. Okay. So another challenge faced by architects trying to design sustainably is the location. So we have to be careful as to what material we choose, so that it is easily available within a radius of maybe 50 to 100 kilometers. As I spoke about it before, the farther it becomes more expensive for the material to be used. These are some examples as to how we can use different elements of a building. I mean, you can, it's a sustainable alternative to the roofs. Okay. So the first one is called as the Rohtak brick dome. I'm sure some of you are aware of it, because recently on internet it had become quite viral. This is actually, the roof is used using the arch technique. Okay, and the mason just lays the brick. You have to make a proper beam all around. Okay, and they start laying the bricks in a circular fashion, and they get it's like an arch. Okay, and the difference in the height, it's almost a flat roof. What you achieve is almost a flat roof, so you can build another floor over it. Okay, so the difference from the center to your periphery is only around 9 inches. So you get, for a building of around 18 to 20 feet, you can achieve almost a flat roof. Okay, another roof we use is called the filler slab. So these are the alternative for regular RCC roofing, what you can use. Okay, so by using these filler slabs, the amount of concrete used is very less, and also the steel, you can reduce 1/3 of the requirement of the steel by using this kind of a roof. These filler slabs here, in this case, we have used the picture shows is using clay pots. Okay, there are some half clay pots they have used, but you can use, as we look into some of the projects I have used clay bricks called as Hurdi tiles, which is also locally available in Karnataka. Okay. Another material we use in our building are these soil stabilized blocks. Soil stabilized blocks we actually constructed right at the site itself. They are made from the mud we obtain by digging your foundation. These bricks are mixed with 1/3 of cement, and they are set in the site. Okay, and nowadays variations in that is you can use interlocking bricks also, so the amount of mortar used is very less. These like Lego blocks, each brick get into each other, fit perfectly into each other. Advantages of using this is, yes, your expense goes drastically down because the material is obtained right from the site, and it's the construct, since it is you have interlocking blocks, the construction is much faster. Your this thing is faster, and you can leave it, you get quite a smooth surface. The surface of the wall is quite smooth, so you can forego plastering. Okay, and it is thermal. It cools you during summer and warms you up during winter. From some of the buildings, this is a farmhouse in Mysore, here in Mysore. The material used are stone and ordinary terracotta bricks. Okay, and yes, interior also I have used, but then as we spoke about it earlier, little bit of we have to do pleasing the client, so you sometimes paint, you put little bit of mirror there, so give it to just generally to improve the aesthetics of the place. Okay, the plan I have used, there's something called in South India, you have the central court. Okay, which is called, the houses are called as the Totti Manes, wherein you have a central open to the sky court, from where you can can get light, ventilation, and also hot air goes out. Okay, so initially they were just covered by pergolas, stone pergolas, but then slowly the client, it started raining heavily, and the rain used to splash out. So we had to cover it up with a glass skylight. Again, the challenge was, if you cover it with glass skylight, the whole purpose of ventilation is lost. So we had to give gaps on the side so that air goes out. Okay, and these side gaps were covered with perforated metal sheets. Here we have used lots of recycled products. Again, that's also a sustainable way of building, where you use try to use as much as old products as possible. So we got these columns, old columns from the Gujri. Okay, and even if you look at closely, there's a window here, which also it is a recycled product. Something to tell you about this client. This client travels a lot, so she all over the place. She's been going. She's well traveled. She keeps collecting items and all old furniture and things like that from all over, all the parts of India. So she wanted a place. We had to design niches and corners for each and every furniture. This is the roof used here is filler slab. Okay, and this is how the filler slab looks. Okay, so this is again another alternative to providing RCC concrete flat roof. Next project is a residence in Mysore. Here also, actually, here the client it was quite conducive over using sustainable material. We used as much of natural material as possible. If you can see the flooring, these are Betum stones from Hyderabad. And then here, again, we've used terracotta tiles. Again, for aesthetics, yes, we had to insert porcelain small tiles. So we had to, that was again a little bit of intricate work. where for aesthetics we had to you can see here, we inserted small porcelain tiles in between 4 terracotta slabs. Again, for aesthetic, this thing, use of glass. Yes, here we used structural glass for sajjas because they're easily buildable, where you can just attach a metal frame and then put a glass sajja over it. Again, we had lots of chipped stones, Betham stones. When we did constructed the terrace, we ended up with lots of chipped Betham stones, which we made it into a flooring. So this was also an intricate work. We had to sit with the tile layer and actually draw it out for him where he sat down. So where you could, so all the material has been used. That first picture what I showed you about, there was these were also, let me show you that. This is also, we used the chipped with chips of Betham stones for the compound wall. So no material was wasted. We used each and every bit of material that was available. With all the byproducts were used efficiently. Again, stone was used in the washrooms, for the walls, for the flooring, Betham stones. And then we used gray granite or gray kadapa, ordinary kadapa for the countertops. And as you know, counters need to be smooth and this thing, so that the maintenance is easy. So we put a glass counter, a glass top on the kadapa counter. Here the roof we used is something called as the as puff sheet. Okay, so they are metal sheet with fiber, polyurethane fiber sheet. It gives you a kind of insulation. It is a sloping roof. It gives you insulation. Also, when it rains, since it is packed with these fiber here, it doesn't make any sound. And then for aesthetic, this thing, we had to paint it. We painted it inside. At places, we painted it different color to match our interiors. And also at places, since she wanted, we had to put a false ceiling on the roof. Interior, we put false ceiling, and exterior, we painted it same color, just to make it a little more appealing. The wood here, wood for the staircase, these are all recycled wood. Actually, they own a wood factory. So all the cut pieces, what we got, we used it for the staircase. So these are all salvaged, not salvaged, you can say cut pieces or leftover wood from the factory we got, and we used it for the staircase. This is an ongoing project, again in Coorg, Markara. As I told you, the climate there is, it's a place of heavy rainfall and lots of humidity. And since the site was a sloping site, we had to use stilts. We had to use stilts. So the whole building is on columns. It is a frame structure where the walls are not load bearing. So we had we used normal hurdi blocks for the walls. Okay, and it is still a decking sheet here. Okay, I was telling you about decking sheet. What actually decking sheet is? Decking sheet is, you have 1 mm of metal sheet. They are kind of corrugated sheet. Okay, on top of it, we have steel reinforcement. Since this sheet itself is made out of steel, so the main reinforcement is reduced drastically. You just have to put distribution bar, and over it we use around 2 inches of concrete. So this sheet, including the corrugation itself, it comes to around 4 inches thick. The sheets are. Wish I could annotate. Yeah. Yeah, the sheets are shaped like this. So this is 1 inch thick, and this side, this is around 4 inches. So you have 2 inches of concrete over this. Okay, and so your concrete is reduced, your main reinforcement is reduced. And you don't need one more advantage of using decking sheet is you do not need any form work, you do not need any shuttering. Okay, so once this is very fast, it can be constructed. And also, yes, we'll next challenge when you do these kind of things is how to make it look good. Sometimes we put false ceiling or paint it if the client is okay with just a painted look. So at one place we have painted the sheet brown, and the beams, the steel beams also brown, to give it a little wooden look. That was that first one what we showed, the slide. So that gives you a kind of wooden roof. Again, here the space between the wall and the windows where we provide skylight, but the gap has to be left. So we were thinking of using perforated glass panels, so that you have the air moving in and out. At the same time, it stops rodents and birds from coming into the building. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am, for shining a light on the importance of sustainability and showing us through your projects.
Yes.
Your presentation was truly insightful, informative, and thought-provoking. And I'm sure the webinar undoubtedly enriched our viewers on understanding the sustainability for well-being, and have a lot of learnings to take away today, and are curious to know more about your presentation. So I would like to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions, ma'am. So the first question I have has been something I have been asking myself since I was in architecture school, ma'am. Like you, I strongly believe sustainability is a way of life. But like you mentioned in your presentation, sustainable architecture often challenges traditional notions of beauty and functionality. So how do we as architects convince and advocate for sustainability in architecture for well-being, while keeping in mind the wishes and the best interests of our clients? How do we strike a balance there?
No, it's been right all through my practice. This has been a challenge. Best thing to do is first you have to become a kind of a psychologist. You have to understand what the client thinks. Okay, and slowly when you suggest, you have to keep the client might want you have to understand why he doesn't want that material. Why does he think? Like there was this lady who kept she didn't want this material, saying that it's very difficult to look after. It's very difficult to clean. Lots it collects. Yeah, these materials are like human beings. No, they are living materials. So they breathe. I mean, they take in air, water, everything. So you'll have lots of moisture problem. Also, all this has to be taken care of. How do you moisture? The best way to nowadays with all these waterproofing materials that have come up with, I mean, all the new waterproofing materials, we have excellent waterproofing materials. So you can always put a layer of what you call varnish over the material, or glass comes to your rescue wherever you want. Now, I spoke about this countertop. Yeah, for the purpose of maintenance, we had to put a glass covering over the stone so that it's easily cleanable. And also you have to understand the place. So what would cause the material to deteriorate? So place like wood, you have lots of moisture. You have, so if the air is kept stagnant, okay, you have lots of fungus, and then you have these kind of acid, what you call uh, effervescence coming out of brick wall. On the wall, no, you go and see, you'll have these white kind of fungus or some kind of chemicals coming out. So the idea, the secret is to not let air be stagnant. It has to be always moving. Make sure there is enough inlet and outlet of air.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So to follow up with this question, ma'am, we saw the thoughtful use of glass products in your projects, from mirrors, glass bricks, glass jars, glass over stone counters, as you were saying.
Yeah.
So what else are the parameters that help you decide, ma'am, which type of glass should be used where? Like, how do you make
So
that
that's what,
decision?
if it is a structural, this thing like like over the over that courtyard, what I showed you, then you need a structural glass, which has to, even these Saja glasses have to be structural glasses. Okay. And now I spoke about giving an outlet to those ventilator. Then I go in for perforated glass. And if it is an aesthetic this thing, so that's what it, depending on where I'm going, we use the glass, we come up with the standards and specification for the glasses.
That's great, ma'am.
Yeah.
So can elements or aspects of sustainable architecture be implemented into existing buildings as plugins or add-ons, ma'am? If yes, could you please give us few examples on that?
Yeah, you can. I mean, once the building is built, again, as I spoke to you, told you, build, it's not just about building, it is the way of life. So you have to incorporate a sustainable way of living in your building. Already built building, yes, maybe you can, if it is still on electricity is used, this thing you can change into solar. You can see how the building gets heated up. So you can come up with techniques of cooling it down. Maybe you have a rooftop greenery on rooftop garden, which cools down. And then all those options, with new options of waterproofing and things like that, much easier. So these are some ways where you can convert your old already built structures into a sustainable structure.
Right, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's great. And can we say the demand for sustainable built environments is raising in India currently? And what role could we as young professionals play here?
Yeah, one thing this COVID has done is it has given us a shock, and it has woken us up into thinking more into a sustainable way of living. Okay. And yes, even in schools now, right from the schools, kids are taught about sustain. I keep getting calls of from schools where they ask me to come and give a talk on sustainable, and these kids are very enthusiastic. So right, if you inculcate, as an architect, we have a social responsibility of teaching youngsters into a sustainable way of living. So maybe as architect, we once in a while go out of our way and not just practice, we can also teach youngsters of how to live sustainably.
Definitely, ma'am. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for this informative and insightful session, ma'am. So on behalf of all of us at Glass Academy and Ethos, I'd like to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. Thank you so much, ma'am.